She said she was going to take our daughter to the zoo, then I found out that. Hi everyone, welcome back to another Reddit cheating story. Before we start, please hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you won't miss another cheating story goes live. I met my wife 7 years ago and have been head over heels for her from the day we met. We got married in August of 2010. Then 3 months after our wedding, we found out she was pregnant. We now have a 2, almost 3-year-old daughter, who is the absolute most amazing thing that ever happened to me. Before the baby, my wife was a bit of a nympho, at least to me. I was content with weekly activities, she was an every other night kind of person. After the birth of our daughter, it's like my wife's sex drive died. Until January of this year, over 2 years later, I was lucky to get anything bi-monthly, and when we did you could tell her heart just was not in it. I tried anything and everything I could think of. I did some self-reflection and decided I come off a bit abrasive/sarcastic a large amount of the time. So I cut that down and got back to the lovey-dovey stuff like when we were dating, and that seemed to make it even worse. I've always thought she's beautiful, that's never changed, and I've told her that. Starting this part of the story, I want to emphasize how far out of the left field this next part came. I would have never guessed in a million years this was about to happen. While our marriage had some issues, I never thought this a possibility. In late January, I was working a 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. shift at a hotel I work at. And she was going to take our daughter to the zoo. Around 6 p.m., when the zoo closed, I gave her a call to ask how it went, and I got no answer. I called 2 more times. We have terrible signals everywhere it seems. I just chalked it up to a bad signal. No answer. I texted her, no response. Weird. Since my daughter was with her, and it had been raining earlier that day, I started to panic a little. So I went to the Google Play Store, and they have a neat little function where you can track a phone by its GPS. I logged in so I could make sure she wasn't in a ditch somewhere. At first I thought it was a glitch, or possibly I had selected my own phone and it was showing my coordinates. But just a little off, because it said the phone I was tracking was 600 feet away. I checked again to make sure I was tracking the right phone, and yes, I was. Her phone was currently at the Best Western, a motel 600 feet from where I was, at work. I called her until she finally answered, asked her where she was, and she said downtown with friends. I asked where our daughter was, and she said with my stepmother. I confronted her with the fact that I knew for a fact she was at the Best Western, and she hung up. The short version of the rest of the affair was I clocked out, walked to the hotel, broke the guy's nose, mutual friend from a game we both played, FFX, funnily enough. I noted that the beds were untouched, and took her home. Fast forward a week. At this point I've decided to forgive her, if for nothing else, our daughter's sake. But I still love this woman, despite what she has done to me. I get home early from school one day and she's on the couch. She sees me and has this deer in the headlights look, so I snatched her phone under the pretense that I needed to upload all the pictures of our daughter off the phone to my Google Drive account. I ripped all the pics off the phone, did some, in my opinion justified, snooping, and didn't see anything, except a picture of her with a weird gold coin I'd never seen in her mouth with a quasi-sexy look on her face. It's hard to explain, bedroom eyes? I confronted her about it, and apparently the guy she was talking to and her both had a thing for anime, and it was a gift he'd given her when they met. She was allegedly asking him if he wanted it back. I just kinda lumped this in with the affair and decided to squash it. It's not worth it to torture our daughter over that. So a month after that, she loses her job. Her parents, who live in California, we live in Florida, immediately invite her out for spring break for a week with our daughter, and want her to leave our daughter, only 2.5 years old at this point, with them for a month. I immediately shut that idea down. Not only am I not ready to trust her alone for a week in her hometown, old boyfriends and whatnot, the wound from the affair is still very fresh, so I suspect everything. Not to mention a child that age does not need to be away from her parents for a month. After much arguing, I decide that suspecting her of betraying me every time she's out of my line of sight will ruin everything. So I tell her she can go, 1 week, and she brings our daughter back with her. This turns into a SHT Storm to end all SHT Storms. She starts to talk about how she hates me and doesn't love me anymore and I'm too controlling. And that if I was really going to forgive her for the affair, I'd never bring it up again. Admittedly, I probably would bring it up once a week or so if we got in an argument. Which seemed to be almost daily, over petty things. I shut down the entire trip idea, and now my in-laws hate me. I would get harassing phone calls from them, telling me I was a shitty husband, and a bad father. Fast forward to 2 days ago. She finally got a job, starting in 2 weeks. Things have calmed down, we're trying to make this work, we're scheduled to start making weekly visits to a marriage counselor. I still told her I loved her every single day, and meant it, but she has not said it back to me since the spring break trip incident. And I was, willing to wait. We were back to holding hands and going for walks, staying up late together and just talking, and really just getting along great. I almost felt like she was going to say I love you again soon, I really did. Yesterday I went to sign into my email, I clicked in the field to get the drag down list to click my account, and a weird account that I've never seen before popped up, with no saved password. My head instantly goes back to the affair and my head starts swimming, and I call her inside from playing with our daughter and ask her to sign into the account. After some coercing she signs in, and it's full of malicious emails from her parents. Emails of her sending them Craigslist ads for apartments/houses nearby, asking them to put the deposit down so she can get her own place. And the cherry on top were emails to 2 attorneys asking how much a divorce runs, and what kind of proof she would have to create/produce to attempt sole custody, presumably so she could steal her away to California, leaving me here without her in Florida. For clarification, the most recent email was one in her sent box to an attorney asking about what all a separation entails, and how much it costs versus a divorce. The oldest being March 20th. I don't know what to say, I'm just completely and utterly emotionally drained. I love this woman, still, despite all of this, and all she can seem to do is stab me in the back. I would never, ever keep our daughter from her in a million years, even with all this backstabbing. I don't know what to do. The general consensus among the few friends that know what's going on is negative. My family has been supportive of my decision to try and make it work, but when is enough, enough? Even they're starting to roll out the "stop being a doormat" speech. Also, I don't know where to fit this in, but while I put 100% of my effort into not arguing in front of our daughter, sometimes, the wife seemingly instigates it in front of her. And I think my daughter is starting to think of me as a bad guy. I don't yell when she's around, but the wife does, and my daughter, comprehending very little I hope, starts yelling nonsense at me and sometimes mimicking what she says. So I ask you, when is enough enough? Am I a fool to still want to make this work, or do I just need to let her go? I get all misty-eyed just typing this. The thought of not seeing her and or my daughter every day is the most gut-wrenching feeling in the world, but so is waking up every day next to a woman who deep down I believe at this point, does not love me. Here are some of the best comments from our community. Now is when enough is enough. Your wife has been cold-shouldering you for ages, has cheated on you, let's set aside the fact she's probably done so repeatedly, because only what's next is relevant. And has been plotting to abandon you and take your daughter away. Lawyer up. There's no hope here. I'm sorry, but there's not. And I truly am sorry. It was enough when you caught her cheating. Everything since has just been gravy. Gather your evidence, get a lawyer, and file. Anything but that and you truly are a doormat. This woman didn't just plot to cheat on you, or to steal away to her parents' house, or to divorce you. She has been plotting to take your child from you. There's no coming back from that, and there's no forgiving that. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell for any future cheating stories.